we've all been speaking about for weeks about the lack of, people within that playing squad who really grasp what Rangers are about and the need, the need to perform, the need to win. Every time you pull on that jersey, I don't think there's been enough of guys that have really sort of, understood what was required. I mean, how much an impact do you think that'll have in this Rangers team going forward? Now you've got a guy of his calibre, leading the line potentially.
I think it could be huge as long as Rangers' recruitment continues to be as shrewd as this over the summer. I mean, this is hugely positive start to their transfer business when you think getting the Hearts captain, top striker, Scotland striker, Rangers fan, getting him in the building this early could be absolutely crucial for Danny Rowe. And you're right about his leadership. I mean, he's developed as a captain. I mean, a few years ago, I wouldn't have said he was a natural captain, but he's certainly grown into the role at Hearts. I think he's probably learned from people. I think the guys like Craig Gordon and stuff like that at Hearts. And if you ask Derek McInnes, he will say that Lawrence Shankland's the most influential player in that dressing room. He's the guy that other players look up to. He's the guy that comes up with big moments for the team. I think if you look at his performances, especially last season when obviously they're going for the title, I think you could visibly see that he was becoming more of a captain, more vocal, cajoling people around him. I think he's added all that to his game with experience. So if you add that to the fact that he's grown up as a Rangers fan and knows everything about the club, knows what the club means. I mean, you're talking about a boy here that's that used to go to Rangers games regular. I think there's pictures came out this week of him in Seville at the Europa League final and stuff like that. So I mean, he knows he's not played for Rangers, but he knows the club inside out, and he knows the demands and the expectations. And we're talking about leadership. Obviously, James Tavernier's left. That leaves a big void in terms of the captaincy. And as it stands at the moment, if Lawrence Shankland's the first signing, then to me, he automatically becomes Rangers captain. Now, that obviously won't be announced immediately. I wouldn't have thought that'll probably get announced during the pre-season ahead of the new campaign. But I mean, unless Rangers go and sign another 2 or 3 of his ilk, where they might have a bit of competition for that role. People have mentioned Lewis Ferguson, a couple of other names have been mentioned. But as it stands at the moment, I mean, if Shankland comes in the door as a captain of Hearts, 30-year-old, 31-year-old Scotland player, Rangers fan, to me, he becomes a captain right away. Not only the captain, he'll also become a penalty taker as well. Off Tavernier, which should get his goal count up. So, in that sense, if you think about that, first, we're not even into the transfer window yet. I mean, the season's barely done, and Rangers have effectively been out and signed a new captain, and that's why the Rangers punters are so excited about this signing.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think he's the perfect candidate. I mean, just as you say, going back to that goal he scored at Tynecastle, I just think that was a moment when Hearts needed somebody to step up, because as much as they got themselves back into that game, they'd been outplayed in the first half, and I think if Rangers had been shown any signs of encouragement in that second half, they couldn't take that grip again.
Yeah,
but they didn't, and Hearts were up to it away, and it was just the kind of moment I looked at and I thought, I don't see anybody in that Rangers squad that is capable of. We've seen guys have big moments, but not in the pressure moments. That's what let Rangers down. In the pressure moments, Rangers folded. Here was a pressure moment, and Lawrence Shankland stepped up. What you say is an absolute, it was an exocet into the bottom corner, scalpel finish, absolutely surgical strike, whatever you want to call it, stunning finish, and it just for me summed up a guy who really raises his games, raises his levels when the pressure's on, rather than shies away from it. And I think that's what too many Rangers players for, best part of a decade, bar the odd year here or there I've done. So, the more I think about it as well, you're saying, is he going to be the captain? I think as it stands, you're absolutely right. He should be the captain. But I'm thinking, well, if he's not going to be the captain, that means that they're going to bring in somebody of an even bigger personality, an even bigger sort of character level. And again, that can only be a good thing, because if you're bringing in somebody of broader shoulders and of a bigger stature than Lawrence Shankland, then that has to be encouraging. But if it's going to be Lawrence Shankland, I think for me that's an upgrade. I mean, again, I don't, so many people spoke about Tavernier and what type of, captain he was, and was he a vocal enough? Was he enough? He's a guy who led by performances, but when his performances dipped, was he still leading? No, I mean, Shankland, having you know him well as I do, I mean, he's not a massive personality in the terms of he's quite quiet. He can be, he's not prone to making huge, massive, bold, daft statements. He can be quite understated at times, but what he has about him is a sort of seriousness about him. And I think you realise when you talk to him, that's a guy who is a serious figure.